Good evening. Well, we're out. It's in the 80s and it's lightly raining. So the weather will determine how briefly or long I may speak. This Talking Heads shows today, I had them on in the background and I didn't hear everything. But what I did notice is that the lawyer for Trump appeared on all the shows, or so it appears, all the network shows, to tell us that he wasn't being political, and then proceeded to be very political, engaging in a lying agitprop exercise. Agitprop, for those of you who are not used to the term, is agitate, and prop is propaganda. So you stir people up, and you get them upset, and you lie. Now, there was an uneven response from the host handling this. That is to say, you know, he got free throws. He would say things and they might catch one or say nothing at all. And some were better than others. So what's the rule of thumb here? Well, if you can't handle these people, that is to say, you can't engage in such a way as to force there to be an accurate statement of pertinent facts from which analysis, opinion, or whatever proceeds, then you shouldn't do it. Now, is that an answer in this day and age? Probably not. And I did see some hosts who plainly had prepared, and it may be that, you know, they follow it, they talk about it, and so they're prepared in that fashion. But if that's not happening for you, that's what you've got to do if you're going to be a host or you're going to be a guest commenting on it. Because the attorneys say whatever comes into their mind, which is political. And they first talk about the case in a deceptive way, and then they try to compare it to other things, like if they did it wrong, we can do it wrong, assuming that. But often they're making allegations that are not themselves right, even by analogy. You follow me? So what Jack Kennedy did, or what Biden did, or what Hunter Biden did, is not an answer for what it is that Trump did to himself. And to say that somebody is going after him is to ignore all the lies that Trump told, all the mischief he created, the deaths that occurred, the attacks on the Hill, and the statements that we have from participants and his own words on tape. But what they're doing is they're trying this case in two places: in the courtroom and out of the courtroom. And that's why we're at a point now where the judge on the latest indictment, the one involving the 4 conspiracies basically to try to overthrow our republic, that judge has not been unaware of what's going on. So, for example, there's a motion for a protective order, and she demanded that the defense counsel for Trump get back to her on Monday what their position is. And then they asked for more time, and she said, no, that's not going to happen. And since that, we had Trump last night, that is, as I understand it, Saturday evening, at one of his Hitler-like rallies, talk about the prosecutor as deranged. This is the kind of third world nation stuff, you know, that happens in fascist governments, that you run people down, you threaten to prosecute them when you have nothing. Putin is one model for that. Trump is another. But what we have is a process in which this has been vetted up one way and down the other by the public misconduct of Trump that we all see in real time, by the investigation of the January 6th Congressional Committee, by all the witnesses that have been summoned, in part from that committee, but also within the investigative prowess, if you will, of Special Counsel Smith. But we cannot expect to fight this only in the courtroom. And if we're going to fight it in the courtroom, we can't ignore what's happening outside the courtroom, that if not stopped dead in its tracks, if not itself an issue, then Trump will normalize his business and continue to try to corrupt individual witnesses and the jurors that will be chosen for that trial and for other trials. And that is his angle. That plus delay. In fact, the judge shut down the defense request for more time, in part because Smith said they're just trying to delay. They look to delay everything. And the decision by the judge is not something that is subject usually to appeal. But luckily, we'll be in the D.C. circuit, and we may find it goes there as well. Now, this judge is no pushover, and she seems quite well aware of what the challenges are. But it's going to take, attention like a laser beam. Now, I've appeared in the past on the Fox show, and it's unpleasant to most. I mean, to people who spend a lot of their life arguing, it's different. But Fox is even different for lawyers who are used to how we litigate when we're in court. So I think that we have to keep that in mind when we handle what's going on with the Fox-like shout 'em down situation. And we saw them do that. And I suppose they either do it naturally or they're coached to do it. And they don't care if they go out with yesterday's laundry when it doesn't work. Think of the prominent defense counsel who represented Trump in his fight with Carroll. Seen him lately? I wonder if you'll see him at any trial. So there's that. Now, the next question is, what about these attorneys? It appears that there are too few attorneys for all the conflicts that they may have. And because of the conflicts they have, Smith and company are probably going to look to ask them to take a step back now, rather than litigate it on the day of a trial. And what kind of conflicts are we talking about? Well, suppose lawyer A represented witness A in a proceeding on the Hill. And then witness A gets called at a trial in which lawyer A has to cross-examine him. Now, lawyer A has confidences from that witness. May he go forward? And the answer may very well be no, but it has to be asserted by the witness. And why is that the case? Well, that's the case because you can waive conflicts up to a point, but not to where you're representing several different people and they all get involved either as defendants or witnesses in the trials here. And maybe you have to examine them. And you have to be able to examine them without the witness believing that their attorney-client relationship has been compromised. So I think we'll see some people fall out on their own or as the subject of motions in court. So that's another wrinkle here. Now, Georgia appears to be coming up next week, meaning that Prosecutor Willis is probably ready to drop her charges. And the fact that Trump is going around talking about it suggests he knows that it's going to happen. And is trying to do what he does, try to own it, to make light of it, say, there, once I get this other charge against me, nothing's going to be able to stop me. Again, turning upside down the way we normally think about how unsavory and unfortunate it is for anyone to try to run a campaign while they're being prosecuted with multiple felony counts in multiple jurisdictions. Not really very good. So what we have ahead of us is apparently a long season in and out of court of this kind of fighting to try to distort the outcome, making comparisons to things that really don't compare, making statements about what happened that really didn't happen, denying that there was fraud when there really was. And I think and I'm not the judge, but I think if I'm one of the judges, the long stick has to come down on their hands. And Trump in particular, some said, hold the lawyers. Yeah, sure, I guess you could do that. But the focus of the multiple count for conspiracy indictment of Trump in D.C., the reason there's one defendant is because that is the one defendant, that is the driver of this crazy phenomenon in America for autocracy and to overturn our republic and to make light of, reduce, and oppose the right to vote and the right to have the vote counted. So we can't lose sight of the fact that they hope to wear us down. They hope we won't go and vote. They hope we'll know that third-party movements hurt one of the two parties, and it's being designed to hurt Biden. And he'll be attacked, and others will be attacked, and some Democrats will do stupid things, hoping to be visible enough that maybe they can be contenders in the next election. That's irresponsible in this time, because personal ambition has to be subordinate to making sure that Trump does not get in the White House, to making sure that we have a fair trial, to making sure that witnesses and jurors are not coerced, on making sure that the rule of law is what matters, not the game show host that Trump is, to entertain the world while he tries to steal the White House again. So that's what I got. I'm on happy trails in my cathedral of trees. Until tomorrow, take care. Bye-bye.